Chad with Creatables, and today I want to show you how to assemble your little sidekick. For this, you're only going to need a couple of tools. The first one is a knife for opening up boxes. The second one is a number 2 Robertson screwdriver. Robertson is the square one. And for any customers outside of Canada, we will be providing a number 2 Robertson bit that you can use in your multi-bit screwdriver inside your hardware pack, which will be inside the box. Before you assemble your little sidekick, get your area prepared for work. You're going to want to work on a soft surface such as a carpet or a large towel. All right, here is a boxed up little sidekick that's ready to be opened up. So let's open this up here. We're going to use our utility knife to safely open it. There we go. Now let's see what's inside. Inside here we have our hardware pack. We're going to need the knife to open that as well. And then we're going to have a rung, which will get installed later. Set those aside. Then we'll slide out the rest of the pieces. Okay, so inside here we are going to confirm that we have everything we need. So we have one pre-assembled side panel. Then we have our platform. And then we have our pack of panels, which are all wrapped up like this. We have our second pre-assembled side panel, like this. We have our rung, and we have our hardware pack. Now let's take a look inside the hardware pack to see what we have. I'll use my knife to cut the tape. Okay, inside here we are going to have a set of felts. We're going to have 18 of the large screws. We're going to have 4 of the small screws, and we're going to have 2 of these angle supports. Inside we're also going to have some paperwork, including our assembly instructions, as well as our care guide, and perhaps a couple of other items. Looks like everything's here. For the first part of the assembly, we are going to need 3 panels, one of the pre-assembled sides. If you're right-handed, I suggest using the one that has the Creatables sticker on it. If you're left-handed, I suggest you use the other side. We're also going to need our hardware pack and our screwdriver. So the first thing we need to do is locate which leg has 6 holes in it. You'll see the other leg only has 3 holes in it, and we're going to put the one with 6 holes down to the carpet. Now, we're going to take 2 of our screws, the longer screws, and we are going to insert them into our top hole, and we want to have about 1/4 of an inch, which is 3 to 4 millimeters, protruding, just like that. And that is going to allow us to line up the holes that are on our panels properly and make sure that it all fits together nicely. You'll notice now that our panels have pre-drilled holes on the end. We now need to get the screws into these pre-drilled holes. So I'm going to keep this next to my body. I'm going to get my screwdriver ready over here, and then I'm going to line these up nicely. There we go. I can make sure that the screws are in the holes. And then I'm going to tighten these screws in. A ratcheting screwdriver is really handy for this part. Okay, I got that one most of the way. Now I'm going to get the next one. Now get these installed so that they are not quite completely snug. We will tighten them up at the end of the overall assembly, and that'll help us make sure everything is lined up square and everything is level. There we go. So you can see here, that I have them installed, but they're still sticking up a little bit from the wood, and I have just a little bit of movement on here. We don't want too much, just a little bit, but that's going to help with our final assembly later. Now the next step is going to be for us to install the next two panels in the exact same fashion on these two locations over here. So let's get that done now. There we are. Okay, that would be steps 1, 2, and 3 in our assembly guide. Now we are going to get on to step number 4. For our next step, we are going to need our other pre-assembled side, and we're just going to need a few more of the large screws. What I'm going to do is rotate this around so I can stay on the right side of it. Now again, I'm going to make sure that I have my leg that has 6 holes on it down to the ground, and it is going to be a mirror image of the other side that we've already assembled. Now I'm going to bring my screws and my screwdriver. We're going to do basically the same thing as we did on the other side, except that the panels are already installed onto the other leg. So we're going to protrude this by the same amount. And we're going to line the screws up with the holes on the panels, and we're going to get them started. I'm going to get it most of the way in here, but I want to leave a little bit of a gap so that I can see the screws going into the other two panels and confirm that I've got them lined up before we start tightening it up. So I've got those two. Now I'm going to make sure that the other 4 screws go into their respective holes. Okay, there we go. And you can really, when you kind of wiggle the screw around, you'll feel it go into the hole. So just make sure you can confirm that it has gone into the hole, and that way it's going to make sure it goes in straight, it goes in proper, and everything lines up really well once the assembly is all complete. Okay, and then the top panel. This one feels a little tighter, so I just got to move it around a little till I find the proper hole. There it is. There we go. Nope, hold on, that wasn't quite in. There it is. Now that I have all 6 screws into their holes, I'm going to tighten these to the same amount as the other side, the previous screws. So it's going to be not quite tight. We want to leave it so we have about a turn or so remaining that we can tighten up at the very end. Okay, on this side I'm kind of working it in a little bit at a time to make sure that they all go in equally. There we go, that's pulling in nicely. No need to rush. We'll make sure that we get this done properly so we don't cause any kind of issues. Oh, that bit does not want to leave that screw. There we go. Okay, there we go. I have this side tightened up the same amount as I did the other ones. So we have a little bit of motion here, just a little bit of movement, but we don't want too much movement because we don't want to end up causing any kind of damage. All right, so that has covered us all the way up to step 4 in our assembly guide. The next thing we're going to do is carefully lift this onto its top. The top is going to be the side that has the sticker on it here. And so I'm going to tip it up carefully like this, making sure not to bend these sides in and out. And then we're going to be able to move on to our next step. Now that this is upside down, we are going to install the final panel. So we're going to need to grab that, our last panel here, and then we're going to need 4 more of our long screws. We're going to install in pretty much the same manner as the other ones, only this time we're going to be in the vertical position. Now keep in mind that you don't want to be bending these in and out as you do this. You want to make sure that they stay nice and parallel to one another, just to make sure we don't end up accidentally causing some sort of damage. Okay, now I have my screws on the one side protruding slightly. These ones I'm not going to put out quite yet because I want to get one side lined up at a time and make sure we don't accidentally scratch something. So I'm going to put you here in between, make sure that the holes line up. Okay, I got those holes lined up. I'm just going to give these a couple of turns just to get them seated in the holes nicely. Okay, and then keep that nice and loose so that we can get our other 2 screws lined up on this side. There's one. Having a little bit of a gap in between the leg and the panel really helps for you to be able to visually line up the hole. Okay, there we go. Those are all lined up. So I'm just going to tighten these guys all the way. Well, not quite all the way. We're going to leave that one last turn for the end of the assembly, just like the other screws that we've already assembled. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. So that there completes us all the way up to step 5. All right, next is going to be step 6 in our assembly guide, and we are going to be installing the rung. So we need the rung, and we need 2 more long screws in order to do this. Now, we're going to take a look here and see on our rung, on one side, we're going to have a hole on each end here. That hole is closer to this side than it is to this side. Now, we're also going to notice that on this leg here, I have this little offset hole here. There's one that's in the center of the leg, and then there's this one that's off to the side. What we want to do is make sure that we line up the end hole with our hole in the leg here, our main hole, and then this little hole here needs to line up with this hole. So in this case, I need to install it this way like this. Now this hole is off to the side here, and so when we install it, those offset holes are going to be in the same orientation. So I'm going to take my screws as before. I'm going to protrude it just a little bit, and then I'm going to line up the other hole. Okay, there it goes, right there. Should have brought my screwdriver. Here we go. And again, I'm going to just get this in by a few turns. Okay. Okay, I'm going to keep this supported. Then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Getting my screw in here. And I am using a small gap here in order to be able to see the screw and line it up. There it is. There's the hole right there. Now we can get this tightened up the same amount as the rest have been. Just touching there. We'll do the other side the same. There we are, that's looking pretty darn good. Okay, so that completes us all the way up to step 6 here. And to finish up step 6, we are going to install our 2 corner braces. And in order to do that, we're going to need our 4 shorter screws. So these corner braces are going to be here and the same side, same spot over here. And these are going to keep that lower rung nice and strong and stable so that you can use it as a step to get in and out of the little Sidekick. Okay, so we're going to put these in. Now these holes that we're screwing into right now, they are, turn this here, they are intentionally angled a little bit in this way and a little bit down this way, so that way you don't end up having your screwdriver bumping over here. Wanted to make this assembly as simple for you as possible, so we've done that offset. So don't think that there's something wrong here. It's actually going incorrect, and don't try to force it to go straight vertical up or down, because then you'll end up not getting it straight into the pre-drilled hole. Okay, I'm going to do this on the top one now as well. You see that's going at a slightly downward angle as well. And again, that just allows you to have plenty of clearance for your hand and your screwdriver so you're not bumping into the rung in the leg. Now these ones, we can tighten until they're nice and snug. Don't over tighten though. We don't want to strip the wood out. Okay, there we go. That's pretty darn good. Now I'm going to do the same on this side. I like to do the first one loose just to make sure that I can get the second one started. And then they can both be tightened down. Pull you down there. There we go. Nice and snug. All right, the main part of the assembly is done. Now the last parts we're going to install are going to be our 4 felts, or in the case of if you have purchased the spilt milk anti-tips, those will get installed now, and there is instructions in the box as to how to do so. But what we need to do is really simple. We need to just peel off our backing, put it right in the middle of that leg. We'll do one on the bottom of every single leg, and this is going to stop your little Sidekick from scratching the floor, and it's also going to make it nice and easy for your little one to be able to move their little Sidekick up against the counter to come and help you out with whatever task you're doing in the kitchen or in the workshop for that matter. There we go. Okay, we're almost done with our assembly. The last thing we need to do is tighten down all the screws that we've installed. Remember, the screws that have already been installed all the way are going to be on the pre-assembled side. So that's the side that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's 4 sides that are already fully screwed in like this. So what I'd like to do here is I like to kind of give a little push down here just to make sure everything is nice and square, all the legs are flat on the ground, and then we can start tightening these. And remember, we're going to snug them down until they're about flush with the wood. We don't want to over tighten them. There we go. Perfect. All right, now I'll just make my way around the rest of these. Okay, last screw. Okay, our little Sidekick is fully assembled and ready to be used. The last thing we need to do is we just simply need to install our platform, and it's good to go. Now that you're done assembling your little Sidekick, the only thing that's left to do is to have fun making new memories. If you'd like to share your photos and videos with us, you can tag us on all the social platforms. We are Creatables Shop. Thanks for watching our video. Have a great day.